Hello, everyone. I just wanted to come on here and talk about those of us who are saved and our family is not. It can be difficult. At times, it can really weigh on me. And lately, it's been weighing on me a little more. I've been dreams about my family a lot lately, and just especially my brother seems been pushing in my dreams, denying God and speaking blasphemies, and I'm going to go over some of the dreams. The first one I had, I woke up crying, and I don't remember how I got in the hospital, or if he even really showed how or why, but I was in the hospital, and I was attached to these things, and I was on this big balloon type, almost like a real big IV type bag, and I was standing on it, hooked up to stuff, and I had another, almost like a water bottle for pets, little pets, like a hamster and stuff, hooked up to me, that I had to keep hooked to me at my mouth and stuff. And it was like the dream, I was just constantly there. And at one point, at first I was laying down though, and I would be scribbling when my family would talk, and my way of letting them know I could hear them was for me to keep scribbling, that I was like conscious or whatever. And so I would just keep scribbling and stuff. And I remember like my brother saying something to me, and I just kept scribbling. And then after that was when I was standing up on the stuff, and it was like me viewing the stuff happening, because I was seeing more of the view of what was happening than of myself. But my family would come in and leave, and this whole time, like, I was like, where's Mike? Because I haven't seen Mike, my husband. And one point my mom was taking that bottle thing and like messing with it, like gagging me to where I almost threw up, but I didn't. Like, she was trying to make me throw up. Well, then she was bending underneath me, because like I said, I was standing up on this thing, and she was bending over to get something, and I ended up throwing up on her back. And I was thinking, like, that's what you'd get for doing what you're doing. And then there was one point she was standing trying to fix something on what I was hooked up to, and I remember there's a window, big window, that I could see out, and I pointed out, and I was trying to talk and say, home, can I go home yet? And like to heaven or whatever. And then there was one point where my nephews, for some reason, were little in the dream, and one of them was hopping up and down on the big water thing that I was standing on, and ended up messing it up. And I'm sitting there because it ended up like leaking of all the water, and I'm like like trying to breathe. I couldn't breathe, so the doctor had to rush in and like fill this thing back up. And he was just telling everyone, like, be careful, don't mess with it. And once he filled it back up, then I was fine, and I had the water like again or something. It was all water. It was filled with water, just like the thing that was like hooked to my face. And there was one point, like, it looked like my family was either laughing or crying, but I couldn't tell. And then finally, near the end of the dream, I was always looking in the hallway towards the door to see, you know, like, where's Mike? Where's Mike? And finally, near the end of the dream, he finally came in. And, like, I was, like, kind of in and out of it, standing there, and I was looking. I'm like, is that Mike? And I couldn't really tell. But then finally I realized it was him, and I was, like, trying to reach out to him. And I was crying, and it was just so good to see him. And he, like, grabbed my hand, and I was just crying, and I was, like, squeezing it, and he was crying, and, like, because I was afraid that he had, like, left me there or something. I don't know, but I was just so happy that he was there and finally showed up and stuff, and just, like, how much I loved him and everything. And then I finally woke up, and I woke up crying because it was just so emotional. I remember going in to waking my husband up, and I was like, Mike! Remember that?
Uh-huh.
You don't remember me telling you that dream?
No.
About me standing in that water thing and everything? I was crying.
No, I don't remember
Wow.
you telling me that. When was that?
I don't know, about a month ago maybe?
I don't remember it.
You were sitting there tearing up too, because I was sitting there, like, crying and telling you about it. Especially that part, I started, like, crying and stuff. But and then I had this dream. Well, I kept dreaming that I was telling my family I was going to commit suicide, and they would be like, whatever, and they were tired of hearing it, and they'd tell me to shut up and quit blabbling on about it. But every time I tried to commit suicide or fake it, it was drowning, which was really weird. But then it finally got to a point where I was in a mortuary, and I was laying on the thing that you lay on when you're dead. I was dead, and they decided it was suicide by drowning.
I remember
And
this.
yeah, and then they had put me into the mortuary thing and shut it, and I could hear, like, the muffled voices of people talking, coming in and out or whatever. And then it'd be quiet for a while, like it was the night or something, and then the next day voices and stuff. And then finally, at one point, they pulled me out, and they were getting ready to do the autopsy. And it was two women, the main woman doing it, and her assistant. And the main woman, what she did first was she cut open my stomach. I couldn't feel anything, but in a way I could. But she cut open my stomach, and then she was, you know, searching in there. And then she did a thing in my private area. It was, like, really fast. I don't even know. It wasn't much of anything. And then she was searching she was doing my brain next. Instead of cutting on top, she cut on the front of my head, and then she was feeling around. And she was telling her assistant, because the assistant was writing stuff down in the computer and stuff, she said, this one feels more normal or better or something like that than others. I don't know, it was something like that. And then after that, they did some dentistry thing, which was really weird. But there's some drilling on the right side of my mouth. And then next I felt a lot of touching on my mouth. And I remember thinking in the dream and after that she was putting some kind of glue on it or something to keep my mouth shut, because when you're dead, you don't want your mouth to, like, you know, end up, like, popping open or something. So she was doing that. And then I remember them sitting there doing all this stuff. And then all of a sudden it was like they turned this music on. It was almost like they're throwing a party. They're sitting there laughing, telling jokes. And at that moment, I could talk. And I said, I can't believe this. This is ridiculous. Like, this is what goes on when you're doing this stuff, you know? And it was like me, like, seeing what it was like when stuff like that went down or something. And then the woman was saying something. I said something back. I'm like, well, it doesn't surprise me because, I mean, the things that go down in here, there's even some people who have sex with dead bodies in here and stuff. I mean, I was saying that stuff like I knew what, I don't know, but and then it was back to where I couldn't talk and stuff. They're finishing up, and then they pushed me back into the thing, and then for a while I hear them cleaning up and stuff, and then it gets quiet, and then for a while, and then again people going in and out talking, quiet for a while again, and then again I hear people coming in and out, and at one point I hear, and it's all muffled because I'm inside this thing, but I hear my dad's voice. And then all of a sudden I'm being slid out, and it was the point of when my family was coming to see me and to identify my body. And you know, when they, before they do that, they have that tarp over you, and I remember being slid out, but I could see down between, I mean, I'm dead, but you know, it's a dream, so I could see down at the end of my feet. It was lifted a little, and I could see my family and stuff. And then I remember some guy was asking my dad, he's like, hey sir, how you doing? And my dad's like, oh, I'm all right, you know, just trying to keep it together. And then all of a sudden they're like, you ready? And they're like, yeah. So they pull the tarp over and show me, and my family's all like and freaking out, crying, and all of them were. And I don't get along with most of my family, especially my brother. And they're all bawling, and they're just, my niece Brianna, she was next to me on my right side, and she started taking my hair, and she was like playing with it, and then she was like saying, so pretty, so pretty. And then my sister asked my brother or something, she's like, you want tissue or something? He's like, no, I'm all right. And they're sitting there talking for a while and looking at me and stuff, and then also my brother like reaches out like for tissue or whatever, and then they're getting ready to put me back into the thing, and all of a sudden my brother starts cussing and saying like, you know, screw this, she believed in God and everything, and would it get her? He was like cussing and cursing God and stuff, saying there's no such thing, and blah blah blah, and all this stuff, and speaking all these blasphemies and all this stuff. And I was like bawling. I mean, not really because I was dead, but like, you know. And I remember like thinking like, Dad, say something, you know, like say something so he's not like this or whatever. And it was like not long after that I woke up, and I was just like crying because I felt like he's never going to change. He's never going to accept Jesus Christ. It's like, I feel like Jesus is telling me that no matter what, he's not going to accept him. Oh, and with that water dream, I felt like that was like the water I was breathing and sucking in, and then I was on top of that water. To me is Jesus, because he's the life water. The how they put that in the Bible, the holy water, the like in the end time when we're in the new heaven and stuff.
Yeah, it's the river of life.
Yeah, the river of life and stuff. And like when it went away, I couldn't breathe. Without God, I don't have life. That's what I was kind of getting from that. But anyway, last night and a couple of nights before, these last couple of nights, that's all I've been dreaming about is my family. And last night, I was at my brother's house. It was nighttime, and something was going on. I don't remember. It got a little windy, and I turned around. I'm like, where's the house? The house was gone. And then all of a sudden, this loud noise coming from the heavens. And it was almost like what you think of what the trumpet sound would sound like, but it was like really not like high pitch. It was like a doom sound, and it was just so hard, and it was almost like it was coming down as it was going off. And then I turned around and looked. At first I was like on this side where the house was, and then I was on the other side. I turned around, the house still wasn't there, but there was like a white line that like was where the house would be, and circled around it, like where it would be like a dead body, but the house. And then in the middle of it was this shining gold thing, little thing in the middle of this whole thing. And I just kept looking at it like, what is that? And I even looked up. I said, God, what are you trying to tell me? And then all of a sudden I felt like I was supposed to grab it. So I reached down and as I'm trying to grab it, like it was almost like I couldn't get a hold of it or something. But right as I was putting my fingers around it, I woke up. And I remember laying there and I almost felt like I had it in my hand. And I was sitting there like this. And then after I woke up a little bit and then realized there was nothing there, but I don't know what that one is supposed to mean, but I just thought that was interesting. But it's definitely been weighing on my mind lately about them. I keep praying. That's all I really can do. I want to share that just if you have a family that's not saved, to keep praying for them. Just don't give up praying. God hears your prayers. And just be strong. Keep pushing. I know it could be hard. I get really worked up sometimes thinking about it, if they went to hell and stuff, and I just try not to think about it. And they think I hate them, but in reality I really love them, but it is what it is. So if anyone has any insights on my dreams as well, to let me know what you think. And that's it. Close to 20 minutes somewhat here, so keep my friend Cheryl in prayer, because I've been ministering to her and trying to help her grow in faith. Sorry, I've been sick and I've still been coughing and stuff. Pray for the coronavirus going around, for protection, and the stupid enemy had put a spirit of fear on me last night. For some reason I was like freaking out about it and worried, and finally rebuked and stuff and got over it. Stupid enemy. And just pray for all these people getting sick from just flu and colds, and Mike feels like he's getting sick now. And pray for my friend Anya, because she's pregnant, for a good, healthy pregnancy. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Can't think of anything. So that is it for today. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their Wednesday. It's snowing here. The roads are kind of icky. So pray for a safe night for the rest of the night while Mike works. And I'll talk to you all later. Night.